Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we're going to take a head-to-head comparison look at the latest generation, the all-new 2023 Toyota Sequoia, and compare it to its outgoing brother. Behind me is a 2020 Sequoia TRD Pro. We have a limited TRD Offroad for the all-new Sequoia. Huge shout out to Carolina Auto Direct for providing both of these SUVs for me today. They have a massive selection of pretty much brand new inventory. Check out that link down in the description. So just from an exterior look from this angle right here, hopefully you can tell how much more updated the Sequoia is. It has been a long time. The Sequoia has had at least a 10-year run, and Toyota is known for letting their models go for quite some time before they have a major upgrade or a major refresh. So let's go over all the specs comparing both of these massive SUVs. So we'll start off today's review with what powers each of these Sequoias. So over on this Dinosaur, this has a 5.7 liter V8 paired to a 6-speed automatic transmission. Pumps out 381 horsepower, 401 pound-feet of torque. On the all-new generation, this is a 3.5 liter twin-turbo hybrid V6 with a 10-speed automatic. Combined with the electric system, this pumps out 437 horsepower, 583 pound-feet of torque. On the previous generation Sequoia, this has a 26.5 gallon fuel tank. It averages 13 miles per gallon in the city, 17 on the highway. We have a little bit smaller of a tank now, 22.5 gallons, but the MPG has been significantly improved to 19 miles per gallon in the city and 22 out on the highway. You'll also notice too, for the older Sequoia, the entire grille opened up with the hood, giving you a little bit better access to some of these front components if you needed to, but a much different design. The hood on the new Sequoia also doesn't open as high. So that is a huge difference. The grille is much differently shaped as well. And you'll notice too, with this grille being a hybrid, the Toyota badge has a blue surround. There's also a forward-facing camera, a much larger grille, and a little bit beefier of a design than the outgoing Sequoia. You can see just how much larger the grille is, a lot more cutouts and openings for this front end to provide better aerodynamics and MPG, as you heard with those specs. Over on this Pro, a little bit smaller of a lower grille. There's fog lights on this model as well. Same with what you get on the all-new Sequoia. So definitely a much beefier design. However, both of these are very similar in size and weight. This weighs right around 6,000 pounds, closer to 6,100. So even with all the features and technologies, even a little bit smaller of an engine, still weighing right about the same. Now, as we work our way to the side, of course, these are different models, but with the limited TRD Offroad package, this has a set of 18-inch wheels with the 33-inch tires and the TRD tuned suspension. So, of course, that will be different depending on the models that you go with. And this even gets a massive set of towing mirrors. There's a camera underneath them, turn signals, even a spotlight, the split design, and these actually extend outwards if you are towing 9,000 pounds with this and you need that extra visibility. Now over on the TRD Pro, this also has a set of 18-inch wheels with not as aggressive as a tire for being the TRD Pro, but you'll notice too that these side mirrors don't even have a turn signal. They are a traditional side mirror that you would get just with that one piece of glass. Now the towing rating on this is right around 7,000 pounds. So it has been significantly improved. With a smaller engine, you have around 2,000 more pounds of capabilities with the all-new Tundra. Now as we work our way to the back, you'll see from this angle here as well, just the side differences with the lines too. We have a lot more lines in that rear fender flare, pretty much no lines running down the side of the older Sequoia. So it is much more updated. Almost looks like a Tundra in a sense in some of these aspects, just depending on how you look at it. Now for the rear of the Sequoia, this has a rear glass that does open individually, so you can push on that button and get access into the rear if you need to. This also has the hands-free option, so I can place my foot up underneath, you'll hear that beep, and the power liftgate will open up. Now over on the TRD Pro, this is manual, and the rear glass actually slides up and down. So it's nice to see that the glass still opens. However, in this, there's a button on the inside, or you can use this button down below. And if I push on that, I can unlock it and you will see that slide down. So it takes a little bit more time, but it's nice that you still have that access. You can use these buttons too to lock and unlock it and slide it up. So with it up, I'll use this button down below and unlock it and open this up by hand, where you can see now we have the 3-row vehicle and a good bit of storage space in the back. There's also a little compartment underneath if you need to use that. and these back seats are automatic. So just by pushing on these controls, they will go down, where you'll notice there's a big difference between this model and the 2023. So with these seats down, there is a nice flat surface where you can see you can place a lot of items if you need to. Over on the 23-year model, this is still a 3-row vehicle. However, there's a little bit less storage behind the 3rd row, so that's interesting to see. But the back seats still are automatic. Just by pushing on those buttons, they will go down. But the biggest difference you'll notice is now that there is a step. So it's not a flat surface like on the previous generation, but you can also slide these seats forwards and backwards. So if I slide that forwards and lock it into place, you'll see you have a little bit more adjustability, even though this does have a step. So it's interesting to see the placement of the back seats. So you don't have a nice flat surface like you do on the 2020 model. But with the power liftgate, we can easily close it up. There's 3 different ways that you can do that. So it's nice to have, obviously, that updated technology. Now, as we work our way to the back seats, you'll notice for this model, and again, all of these accents and trim pieces are going to be different depending on the model, but this has leather for the seats. It's also a 7-seater too. So we don't have a middle seat where I can easily get into the back here. You'll notice there are some adjustments where you can put down the seats, move them out of the way as needed. But in the back, there's actually a good amount of space. At 5'10", I have plenty of room. There's a large compartment along with some cup holders, and you'll see I have around 2 or 3 inches above my head. So honestly, I could ride in the back seat. This is a massive SUV, as you would expect. So you have plenty of room for all of your 3rd row passengers. And then for the captain's chairs and the 2nd row, you still have plenty of room, along with all the climate adjustments that you can easily go through. There are 2 cup holders down in the middle, and the captain's chairs just give you a really nice place to be. So again, 5'10", plenty of room. You can also recline these seats as you need to, and they go back pretty far. So you could easily be comfortable in the back seat of this one. Now over on the 2023, we have a little bit different of a configuration. This is a 6-seater for the back 2 areas here. With one hand, I can flip up that seat. So instead of walking through, since we have that seat right in the middle, we can flip that seat up, and now we gain access to the back. So very similar to the 2020 where there's cup holders. You can actually recline though and incline the seats just by pushing on that button. There's a little bit of storage. You can slide these seats forwards and backwards just like you saw from that handle on the back, except you can do that here if you need to. And in the middle seat, just like I was in the other model, my head is a little bit higher. So as you saw earlier, since these seats don't fold completely flat, I think it limits your headroom slightly and then limits the amount of items that you can put in the back since it's not completely flat. So again, interesting to see that difference in the design. I like having a nice flat surface, especially behind that 2nd row. But as far as sitting in the back here, just as comfortable as over on the 2020 model. And then as we work our way to the 2nd row seating now, you have just as much space, all of the climates just like you saw, along with some more auxiliaries, and these seats even recline too. Not quite as much, but either way, it's still comfortable for the 2nd row, and you have the addition of having that 3rd person in the middle with still plenty of room for everything that you need to place in the back. So as we work our way to the driver interior now, you'll see that the door panel has a pretty simple design to it. There's some trim accents, the JBL audio. There's even a hidden storage bin right underneath the window controls, and that's pretty much all that you get. This has all-weather floor mats, the leather seats, as the TRD Pro came with. And then when we hop to the interior, you'll see leather on the steering wheel. Pretty simple controls. These controls are in a lot of the older Toyota models, including my 2017 Tacoma. Very, very similar with your radio and tuning, Bluetooth controls. All of these are for the gauge cluster. This even has the distance pacing, lane keeping assist, cruise control. Let's fire this up though. We'll listen to that V8 come to life, where you have pretty simple gauge cluster with the tach miles per hour, and then using those controls on the right side, you can actually go through quite a lot of information. It's very beneficial to be able to go through all of this. You have the compass there, your music. You can go to the PSI for your tires, any messages, and then there are some safety features that you can go through as well. And then you have some temperature, fuel gauges on each side of that. So again, pretty simple, straightforward. On this left side, these are power folding side mirrors, so you could fold those in. It's a big vehicle, so if you're parking, very helpful to have that. You can open up the lift gate, a little bit of storage right there. And then look at how small this center screen is. When we get to the 23, you'll see why that's kind of funny. But you have some buttons on each side to go through all this info, and it is a touchscreen system. So that's nice that you do have everything you can go through, navigation, you have the radio, your phone, and then underneath that, this has massive controls for the climate adjustments. Toyota is known for having big knobs for those. In colder weather, if you're wearing gloves while you're driving, I think it makes it a lot easier, and that's why they designed it that way. So you could quickly go through that. Heated seats are right in the middle. You have rear adjustments too. Four-wheel drive, of course, for the Pro. This has parking sensors and traction control, which you can turn on and off. And then you can open and close that rear glass, like I mentioned earlier. There's also tow and haul, a center locking diff. I believe this is all-wheel drive. All-wheel drive is still available on the newer Tundras too. You have some auxiliaries, and that's pretty much it. Your backup camera too, which we'll go ahead and pull up so you can see. You only have one view for that. And then a lot of storage space in the middle and 2 glove boxes. So just to further look at that, you have a lot of space, and then sunroof just for your front seat passengers. So that is pretty much it for the interior on the outgoing Tundra. And then for the all-new Tundra, I just finished doing the full detailed review for this exact model. So if you want to see everything in greater details, I'm kind of skimming through it for today just so you can get the visuals, but check out that separate video to see all of the new technology features like the memory seating adjustments, power folding side mirrors, just like on the other model. We have Softex leather now. I don't believe that it was real leather in the other model either, but the Softex is a nice material. It's going to be a lot more durable as well. So when we fire this up, we have that red TRD button. Now we have a digital gauge cluster and a massive infotainment system. A lot of info to go through. Again, check out that other video where I go through all of this in more details. This has adaptive cruise, all of the controls for the gauge cluster where you can go through a lot more info. It's a similar amount of information to go through as you saw over on the TRD Pro. So it gives you everything that you need, which is nice, but I love the size of the digital gauge cluster. You can even pull up some more info for the hybrid system over on this right side, which is currently shut off at the moment, but it is a nice update. Full leather on the steering wheel and a lot more controls for all of this info, like the heated steering wheel. You have the towing mirrors. You don't even have to worry about sticking on mirrors to your mirrors because you can just pop them out like you are in a dually pickup truck. You have the fuel cap release, spotlights, heated steering wheel, even all the power outlets. So it's pretty cool to see all of that. And then the massive screen is a huge update. Can you believe 2020 to 2023 with the amount of tech that you have? Not a whole lot from Toyota, but I love the screen. I love all of the toggles underneath it for all the climate adjustments, heated and ventilated seats, even a trailer braking system. You have a 360 camera system as well. And you have 2 different angles for this graphic here. So this is a design that Toyota has incorporated in some of their latest models. It's also in Lexus as well. And you can play and pause this to get a view. But if you put this into reverse or drive, now you have multiple different camera systems to go through. And again, I'm going through this pretty quickly. There's even an off-road one too, where it shows multiple angles. So yeah, you can take this pretty much wherever you want to. We have the locking diff along with traction control. And then you even get crawl control and the multi-terrain select. It's interesting to see that the TRD Pro over there does not have that because my 2017 TRD Offroad Tacoma does. But in this TRD Offroad, you get crawl control, the multi-terrain select, all the 4-wheel drive settings, a little bit more storage in the center armrest there, and you even get a full panoramic sunroof. Very nice to see that update. But now let's go ahead, hop into that Dinosaur, see what it's like. As we set off now behind the wheel for the 2020 Toyota Sequoia, back in 2020, these had a starting MSRP right around $51,000. So being in the TRD Pro, which is the top trim level for the Sequoia, this was probably closer to 58, 59, maybe it broke 60,000 with all the technology that it had from 2020. But I just did the full review on the 2023, and as soon as I hopped into this seat, I could instantly tell how dated this is. And that's even coming from a Tacoma owner. I have a 2017, my steering wheel is virtually identical to this, and in my Tacoma, to me, it doesn't look outdated. But once you hop out of the newer Sequoia and into this one, boy, does it take you back. And this isn't even that old. We're talking 3 years old for this. With that being said, it's still a nice interior. You know, we have a lot of nice materials. we have a functional touchscreen system, a lot of adjustabilities and creature comforts to drive this every single day. This is a 2020 with 72,000 miles on it. It is still getting broken in. Toyotas are going to last a long time. So if you are in the market, you don't want all that fancy technology, this is still a good option, but I can see where it's being dated, especially the size of the screen, these big knobs right here. But it's still a nice place to be. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to knock it in any way. We just have the all-new 2023 to compare it to. So with the 5.7 liter V8, we will slow down just slightly. Maybe we can hear it. I don't know if this is loud or not. And you can hear that. It's not a loud V8, as you would expect from a more of a family style SUV. I feel like it's pretty adequate. When you bought this, you know, you only had one engine option, the big V8 engine, which, you know, is a larger engine that a lot of manufacturers were using, but in today's market, they're starting to get a little bit smaller and become more fuel efficient. So the V8 was the only option for the Sequoia. I believe that was the same with the equivalent for the Land Cruiser as well from Toyota, which is no longer being made. And then you hop into the 2023 Toyota Sequoia, and right off the bat, look at how much more modern feeling. We went from ancient dinosaur to modern technology for the Sequoia. Even the buttons on the steering wheel just give it more of a updated look, and I do love this new interior. So when you drive them back to back, obviously you can tell a lot more and get to see all of the features and the tech. So for this 2023 year model, the base MSRP now starts right around $57,000, $58,000. So in 3 years, it went from 51 to about 57, 58, which is justifiable, I think, especially with inflation and everything. Car prices are always getting more expensive. However, with that being said, this is why. We have a lot more tech, a lot more features, even crawl control, the multi-terrain select, which again, I'm very surprised that the TRD Pro on the other Sequoia did not have that. But if you want to take your family style SUV off the pavement, you even have all of those goodies that are up underneath. So it is pretty awesome. This now has acoustic glass for the windshield and the side windows for the front seats here. So it makes it a little bit more quiet. It's kind of hard, honestly, to tell with the quick test drive and the other one. I don't really know if this is that much quieter, but I'm sure maybe at highway speeds, you could definitely tell. If you spend some more time with them back to back, you could probably tell a lot better than just the quick drive that I'm on. And as far as the 3.5 liter twin turbo V6 goes, we'll give it a slight acceleration like we did with the V8. And the noise is not significantly different. Obviously the V8 is going to be a little bit more grunty to it, but again, family style SUV like this, it's not a loud exhaust system, but honestly this feels so much quicker. It has a lot more horsepower and torque, and I do believe that smaller engines are becoming more popular because you can pump out a lot more power as well as fuel economy with them. You can get more towing, especially in this engine compared to that V8. But I don't think a lot of Sequoia buyers are really going to be disappointed that there is no longer a V8. I think people who want this vehicle bought it regardless. So if it still had a V8 like the latest generation Land Cruiser did before they discontinued that, people were still going to buy this, but now it has a little bit smaller of an engine. I have seen a lot of people maybe complaining or throwing around the idea that the twin turbos might not last as long, but I know Toyota, they are very, very reliable. We've had a lot in our own personal family. They're pretty reliable, so I'm sure that they are making a very reliable twin turbo engine for all of their later models, especially being paired with the hybrid systems too. It's kind of the way that the car market is going. A lot of manufacturers are doing that, either smaller engines or they're going with the hybrid system too. So only time will tell how reliable this engine is. So there we have it, taking a look at the ancient dinosaur, the older brother to the all-new redesigned 2023 Toyota Sequoia. Comment down below, let me know your thoughts on the latest generation. I think it was definitely a must, and I love the upgrade, I love the design. It almost looks like a Tundra, especially from this angle with those tow mirrors. And then we have the older design, of course, for this TRD Pro. But I hope you enjoyed today's head-to-head comparison with both of these Sequoias. Give the video a huge thumbs up if you did, and smash that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.